it's going.
Good. All right. I'm sorry that it took me a little bit longer than I thought to get you this video. But as far as this triangle, and you were asking, like when people say lose the shoulder, to use the shoulder, or lose the shoulder, like what does that mean? I know that I was writing it up and explaining it to you a little bit, but if I'm in the triangle here, I feel like just the explanation of losing the shoulder to make the choke tighter, it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. So if we want the shoulder to roll into one half of the neck on any arm in chokes like the triangle, by taking more of the shoulder broadly out of the lock, it's gonna roll that shoulder more into the side of the neck. So if I have his whole shoulder in the loop of my legs and you can see all that mass of Aiden's body, if I squeeze, I have to compress all of that as well. But if I take more of him out and just the edge of his shoulders in there, because I start losing the shoulder out of the lock, that's gonna make the choke a lot tighter and there's less of him in there that I need to squeeze. However, sometimes perfect can get in the way of good enough. So I see some people, they chase this perfect, I'm gonna lose the shoulder, and they try to slip as much as they can of the person out of the lock, and still it gives him some space to escape. Like if he can eat this pressure for a second, some people can slip around the corner like that, especially once it gets sweaty. This is an MMA gym here. There's some fighters here that are really athletic and really explosive. So sometimes it's nice to leave more of the person in the triangle. It's not as clean or as perfect of a finish, but sometimes that can make it more difficult for the person to get out. Tony Ferguson against Kevin Lee, he moved the arm to that side, which some people will say is wrong, and left all that shoulder in there and purposefully finished by just kind of like squeezing the knees together and pulling the head down. Not as clean of a finish, but it gave Kevin Lee, who's a great wrestler, good at submission escapes too, it made it more difficult for him to get out of there. So sometimes you have to find a little balance. Sometimes I'll start with more of the person locked inside the submission, and I'll start to slide the shoulder out of there, and I'll just kind of use the feel of when to stop. Sometimes I will actually slip most of the shoulder out and it'll end up being really clean and they also won't get out. But sometimes when I just feel that someone's really jumpy or really good at escapes, I'll leave a little bit more of it in there, leave it a little less precise. Maybe it takes another 5-7 seconds to finish, but I have a little more security and a little more good position on there. So even though I also think that this all started because you were asking about losing the shoulder, and you were saying, well, if the shoulder's choking him, why do you want to lose it from the lock? You can never lose it all the way. Like the shoulder's never going to come out of the lock, but you just want as little of it in there, and then it's just kind of just touch the side of the neck. So it's just kind of a focal point. By trying to slip the shoulder out of there, it's never going to come all the way out, but that's going to start to use it so that it drives into the side of the neck. And that's going to be the case with all leg triangles, all arm triangles, and on all of them you can start to juggle between having almost none of them in there, or having more of the shoulder in there, but maybe it's worth it for security and holding the position.